Welcome to another episode of Bargain Saturdays, and this week I took a look at Blackwater, a movie about a man-eating crocodile. And while the movie has its ups and downs, I also feel it's a bit misleading when it says it's based on a true story, because the actual events are completely different from what happens in the movie, so much so that it's about as historically accurate as Disney's Pocahontas. Yes, it's not even close to the true story. So if you're expecting a true story, don't. I call it misleading box description, and it says right in the movie it's based on a true story, and that's just not really true. It's not close to the actual events, and I realize I'm repeating myself, but it just bugs me a lot when movies say they're based on true stories and they're not even close to what actually happened. That being said, what's Blackwater's strong point? Well, it has a more psychological fear aspect going for itself, for the most part. Mostly because the people making the movie were smart enough to realize that showing the crocodile all the time would be a disservice. So oftentimes its presence is felt, but it's not seen. I guess you could say they took a book from Jaws and try to make the crocodile only appear as much as is absolutely necessary. So usually you know it's there, but you don't see it. But you feel its presence constantly strangling you. So you know you're screwed, but you still have to try and find a way to get away anyway, even though the crocodile's got all the cards in the deck in his favor. On the downside, I guess would have to be some of the visuals and stuff. Some of the scenes hang pointlessly. The opening scene is one of the best examples of this, where we have one of the characters playing with a bug for no apparent reason. We also have a scene where the movie just hangs on the characters being stuck in the tree for a while for no real reason other than just to show them. Another issue that's sort of iffy are the visuals. The crocodiles in this movie are real, but obviously you can't shoot these scenes with the human actors and the crocodiles in the same scene together because it's dangerous, obviously. So they shot the crocodile footage elsewhere, then superimposed it into the movie, if I'm understanding things correctly technically. So sometimes the crocodiles just don't appear to be real, even though they are real, because they don't look like they fit in the scene. One of the better examples of this is when the crocodile is jumping out of the water, which I'll probably show right about now. With that being said, everything else about the movie, I guess, some of it's skipped over, or it's jumped over, because, quite frankly, there's not much of a story. I mean, you got three people trapped in a tree trying to outsmart a crocodile, and for the most part, they fail. The guide gets it. The only male character that's in the group of friends gets it. His girlfriend gets it, who's pregnant. Her younger sister may have escaped or not, we don't know. Because when she's leaving and paddling away on the boat, we hear another crocodile moving around the waters, threatening to potentially knock her back into the water and kill her too. I guess the movie wants to be the next Jaws and make people want to go out and kill crocodiles, because I guess their population is on the rise, and the movie even points this out, so there's an increased risk of crocodile attacks. Quite frankly, my best advice is just to stay out of areas where you know crocodiles live, and avoid them like the plague. I prefer not to go in environments where I know I'm not the dominant species. Let's leave it at that. As far as the movie goes, I guess Blackwater's alright. I mean, it's definitely not got the strength of Jaws behind it. You do see the crocodile an awful lot more than you did in that movie. And with the size and consistency issues that come from using superimposed images, since they can't obviously be using all the same crocodile necessarily, you do have that as a slight issue as well. Maybe you should be better off saying it's not one crocodile, but a group of crocodiles that are effectively keeping them trapped in this tree. On the other hand, the way they use this crocodile doesn't feel anything like a natural crocodile at times as well, because there's one scene in the movie where the crocodile surfaces right in front of the two girls as they're trying to move through the river real quick to another tree, because they figure that's where the boat they had was going to go by when the tide goes in. And the crocodile just pops up for a couple seconds, and they're just telling it to, well, cursing at it quietly, out under their breath, obviously, just to go away. And then it sits there for a couple seconds before it finally submerges itself And then when they go screaming and trying to run away back to safety, obviously it gets one of them. I mean, what sort of crocodile surfaces right in front of its prey just to screw with it? I couldn't imagine any crocodile that would do that. At least not intentionally, which seems to be the implication here. In fact, it's even one point kills the male character that's in the relationship with one of the other female characters, and surfaces with his body still in his mouth and just taunts them, or her mouth. Crocodiles don't have external genitalia, so it's hard to tell. Eventually, the crocodile does get it, though, because the tour guide had brought a handgun with him. And apparently, when the crocodile ripped his body to pieces, it didn't destroy this gun somehow didn't get knocked loose out of his belt holder. But eventually, the crocodile gets shot in the head because of this, because one of the girls washes up, well, I shouldn't say washes up, gets dragged to the food storage area, and somehow is only knocked unconscious and isn't seriously hurt and bleeding to death. Go figure. It doesn't make any sense. But then again, it doesn't need to make sense. It's a horror movie, I guess, to some extent, so maybe it doesn't really need to make sense when you just plot conveniently have a gun appear where you can use it to shoot the crocodile in the head while it's trying to bite into you, because she's literally in its jaws with her hand trapped inside of its mouth and is pulling the trigger repeatedly until it finally fires off a round again and shoots it. Because the gun misfires a lot, too. So I guess as an overall assessment, it's not a bad movie. Not the best, but it's not a bad watch, as long as you only are watching it probably once. Because after that, you know where the crocodile is going to pop up for the most part, and then it's not anywhere near as scary. Because you're not really experiencing it for the first time. See you guys next week, where we'll be taking a look at Redwater.